I think it's very important to have a good understanding of the basic blues form, and particularly the jazz blues. For me, the jazz blues is a very important part of jazz music, and if you can learn to walk the blues and walk the blues well, then you'll have a really great chance of being able to walk other jazz tunes well. So in this video, I'd like to show 6 walking bass choruses of the jazz blues in B flat major. And hopefully you can take away some ideas from this video that you can use in your own walking over the B flat blues. So let's get right into it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So let's have a look at the first chorus of this walking bass line over the B flat blues. It's very important for when you're learning to walk the B flat blues, or any particular blues, that you learn what key it's in. So we're in the key of B flat, of course, so every B and E we take down to B flats and E flats. And it's a good idea to practice all of the arpeggios that you will need for all of the chords in the progression. So starting with B flat 7, it's important to practice all of the chord tones in the area of the bass that you'll be doing the most walking in. And so I like to start off with practicing walking up the B flat 7 chord from root to root. And it's also important to get the notes of the B flat chord underneath this root as well. So A flat and F. And you would want to work your way through all of the chords in the chord progression. I'm choosing not to go too high up the neck just yet, even though certain choruses in this walking bass line do go much higher, because I'm trying to give myself some boundaries. So just in general, I like to keep my walking range from open E to about C, which is the 5th fret on the G string. I try to keep most of my walking within that range and only venture outside of that range from time to time. Once you gain the confidence with the walking notes down here, then you can try to venture up a bit higher. and come up with your own ideas in the higher register of the neck. So let's make the assumption that you've learned all of the chords in this chord progression. There really aren't too many of them, so it shouldn't really take you too long to get to know them. And you've also worked on the key of B flat major, just walking up and down the key. Whoops. Now we can get into the walking bass line itself. So starting with bar 1, we're walking up the B flat major triad, B flat, D and F, and then we're putting in this passing note E natural on beat 4, and that leads us nicely into the root note of E flat 7. Second bar, we're walking up this fairly classic jazz bass cliche. This line will pop up time and time again. It may be over some other chord, but it'll pop up a lot. So this one's definitely worth knowing. Okay, and when we get to the third bar, what we're doing is we're just walking down the B flat 7 chord. Root note, flat 7, 5th and 3rd. Just walking right down the chord. Bar 4, we've got a really common walking bass walk up. So we're walking up to the 4 chord, playing the root note of B flat 7, sort of the sharp root, B natural, the 2, and then the 3. In bar 5, we have the same sort of walking bass idea that we had in bar 2, but now we're taking notes 2, 3, and 4 down the octave. You can hear how it has the same kind of sound to it, but now we're taking the notes down so they sound lower. And again, in bar 6, same idea, but now over B flat. It's the same walking bass idea. Notice that in bar 6, when we walk up like this, when we get to beat 1 of the next bar, we're actually playing the F natural note, which is the 5th on the B flat chord. And this type of idea, where you don't always play every root note on the downbeat, it gives us more of a sense of the bass line moving forward. It's not wrong to play lots of root notes on the first beat, and actually I like to get all my bass players to do that, to actually put a root note of each chord on the first beat of each bar, because it really outlines the sound of the chord really well. As you get some practice with walking bass, you can find some places to put in the different chord tones of the chord, like the 3rd and the 5th. So that's what we've got happening here. So going from the top of line 2 again, got the walking cliche and the same walking cliche again, but going to the 5th. Now we're walking down the triad, root of D minor 7, passing note to the root of G7, and then the 3rd, and then we're into the 3rd line. Over the 3rd line, once again, we've got this same sort of walk up. This one's a bit different though. This one, you can play that over minor 7 chords, which we have in bar 9, and you can also play the exact same idea over major chords like the F7 chord. So let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's go back to that C minor 7 chord. We're walking up the chord. We're playing C, the root note, the 2, the minor 3rd, and the E natural, sort of as a passing note to get to F7. So in terms of walking bass concepts, this all works together really perfectly. We get the passing note on the 4th beat, which is where it belongs, and then we get to the first beat of the next bar with F7. With the F7 chord, you may have noticed it's the same idea. We're playing root note F, 9, passing note on the 3rd beat this time, and then major 3rd, A, leading to B flat. I often like to teach that we need to put passing notes like that G sharp, put them on beats 2 and 4. And so you may be wondering, why do we have this note on the third beat of the bar? Isn't this sort of breaking the rule? Well, it is, but the more important rule for walking bass lines is if it sounds good, it is good. Okay? That's the most important part of walking bass. If your bass line sounds good, but it breaks a rule, then it doesn't really matter. Rules are basically just guidelines, and it's good to use them, but you can certainly choose to go outside of those rules or go outside of those guidelines if you have a line that your ear is leading you towards and you think sounds nice. Okay, let's keep going. Last two bars of this first chorus. We landed on a B flat for B flat 7, B flat, A flat, sort of a passing note, but it's also a chord tone going on to G7, root 5th of G7, C minor, we've got the root, passing note to F, root 3rd, and that's a passing note again to the next chorus. Okay, I'm going to play that full chorus for you now so you can hear how it all works in context. See if you can try to hear the chord progression during the line itself. Of course, you won't actually hear any chords being played, but see if you can recognize when the chords change just by listening to the bass line. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all we have time for in this lesson. I really hope you enjoyed this video on walking the B-flat blues. Please check me out on Patreon, where you can download the PDF walking lines to all of the lines used in this lesson, as well as some extra ideas and hints for when you start walking your own lines. Alright, thanks for checking out this video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.